All right, so good morning. It is Wednesday, May 6th. We are getting really close to the end of the year. This is our last test of the year, and then we have two more assignments. We're going to have a simple, just assignment where you'll just go through and I'll talk about magnetism. And as long as you go through the assignment with me, you'll get an easy grade. And then the last grade is just going to be research a type of magnetic device. And I'll just show you some examples of things that I've built. And you'll just write like a quick little paragraph and show some drawings of how it works. So we're pretty much close to the end of the year. So just keep going. We're almost done. And then week after that, so the very last week of school, I'm planning on still being here every day at 10 if you just want to show up and talk. I know some people wanted to watch a physics movie, so I might even put something on like that. Or if you just want to talk and say goodbyes for the year or ask for a yearbook writings. I mean, I obviously can't write in your yearbook, but I could write it there. So yeah, if you're interested in any of that, that'll be 2 weeks from now. Every morning I'll be there. And then, so yeah, we'll have class Friday, we'll have class Monday, Wednesday, no, Tuesday we'll have class. Thursday we're not going to have class because I have the AP test later on Thursday, so I'm going to have an additional AP class. And then next Friday we also won't have class because I'm going to be on campus for cleaning out my room and seeing the seniors as they pick up caps and gowns. So the last official classes are going to be this Friday and next Tuesday. All right. So I'm going to post all that so you'll see when everything is. I'm probably just going to post them all at once. So it might be a lot of things that show up all at once, but you'll kind of see the upcoming schedule. All right. So getting on to this test. So we have right here the first thing I want you to do, similar to the last test, write your student ID, but I want you to write your entire student ID this time. I am going to check your student ID when I put in the grades. If the ID is different from your actual student ID, then I'm just going to give you a 0. So don't try to change your student ID in order to uh, take the same test as someone else. So yeah, just don't do that. All right, so yeah, we get to that point. So we're going to replace a 0 with a non-zero single digit number. So if you have a 0 anywhere, you're going to change it to anything from 1 to 9. You right outside my window here. I'm going to shut my window. The rooster literally went straight up to my window just to crow. All right, so yeah, you'll replace the 0 with anything from 1 to 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. And I want you to choose a number that doesn't show up somewhere else in your ID number. So I will go through. So you'll write it here. You can write out your original ID right here, and then you can write the other one down here if you print this out. Also, if you print it out, you should print out the PDF because the PDF formatting works better than the Word document. If you print out the Word document, you're going to see the formatting gets messed up when you open it up in Google Docs. So just a thing to think about. All right, so I gave an example right here. So let's imagine your ID is 421076. I made this up, so if it's your ID, I just randomly made something up. I guess you're lucky if it is. All right, so 421076. So we get here. I have a 0 in this. So I'm going to choose a non-zero number. So instead of 0, I can choose anything that doesn't show up anywhere else in the ID. So I'm not going to choose 1 or 2 or 4 or 6 or 7. So I don't see a 3 here, so let's just replace it with a 3. So I can do 4, 2, 1, 3, 7, 6. So this is going to be A, B, C, D, E, F. Now, I would write this somewhere, maybe even on a separate sheet of paper. We're going to be using this a lot, and I'm going to be using really random combinations, like it might be D times F, or C times A, or B times F. And it goes through all the different permutations where I'm multiplying random things together. So even if you have a similar ID, you're going to be getting very different numbers. So just make sure you're being really careful when you're going through this. All right. So let's look at this first one. The first one is the one that has the weird rule that I want you to look at. So first we'll go through and solve for the voltage of the battery, voltage of the resistor, voltage or resistance of resistor A of light bulb A, and resistance of resistor B, light bulb B. So we have voltage of the battery. So the battery voltage is A times B. Some people on the previous test were just doing AB. They're saying 42, but it's actually A times B. So A times B, so I have 4 times 2 is equal to 8 volts. So it's times, not just combining the two numbers. And then I have resistance A is going to be C times D. So C times D, let's be really careful. We're actually looking back. It's going to be 1 times 3. It's going to be 3 ohms. And then resistance B is going to be E times F. So E is 7, F is 6. So you get what? 42 ohms. All right. So we get these numbers. There is something I want you to do here, though, that's going to make the questions be too simple if we don't do it. So we have this case here where when we go through and solve these, if we get that resistance A equals resistance B, then we'll add 5 ohms to resistance B. So let's imagine a scenario where when I do resistance A, let's say I get something like 5 times 3 equals 15 ohms. And let's say I do resistance B is 3 times 5 is 15 ohms. So let's say we have a situation where we have C, D, E, F. So we had like 5, 3, 3, 5, or just any combination where we get A and B are equal. Then I want you to add 5 ohms to resistor B. So because resistance A equals resistance B, we're going to add 5 ohms to resistance B. Only because they're equal. If they're not equal, we're going to leave this alone. All right? So here A does not equal B, so I am not doing anything to these values. But here A does equal B, so I'm going to add 5 ohms to resistance B. So resistance A is still going to be 15 ohms. But my resistance B, I'm going to change that to 15 ohms plus 5 ohms. So I'm going to get 20 ohms for resistance B. So these are the values I'm going to use for the problem. All right, so one more time. So for that first one, if A and B are not equal, don't do anything to them. But if resistance A and B do end up with the same number, there's a few ways to get them to be the same number. I mean, there's a lot of ways to get them to be the same number. More than likely they won't be. But if they are the same number, we are going to add 5 ohms to resistance B. And this is important to do, otherwise everything is going to go wrong from here. And again, if you're confused about this, just email me a question. Email me your numbers, and I'll help you go through these. If it's any question about any of these and what your numbers should be, I'll actually go through and solve them for you. I really don't, that's not my concern, is that you're able to do this part. My concern is that you're able to do the physics after it. So if you're completely lost on some of these, just ask me and I can help you with it. All All right. So through email or tutorials or anything like that. All right, so that's all of 1 that I'm going to go through. So then we get to 2. This one's very similar. Now, this one, I don't care if anything are the same. We're just going to go straight to these are the values we're going to do. So voltage of the battery is A times F. And notice kilovolts. So let's make sure we're paying attention to subscripts and superscripts and things like that. When prefixes is the word I was going for, actually. So for 2, we get voltage from the battery is equal to A times F. All right, so my A is 4, my F is 6. So 4 times 6, which is equal to 24 kilovolts. Again, kilovolts. Let's make sure we're paying attention to that. All right, and then resistance 1 is going to be B times E. So B times E, we're paying attention. 2 times 7. Really go back and look at these. 14. And these are just times 100. What am I doing? Times 100. I've missed that. Times 100 is 14 times 100, so 1,400 ohms. Let's not mess up 2 here. So 2 is going to be C times D times 100. So C times D, 1 times 3. Times 100 is equal to 300 ohms. And then resistance 3 is B times D times 100. B times D times 100. All right, so B is 2, D is 3. 2 times 3 times 100. 2 times 3 is 6, times 100 is 600 ohms. All right, again, be really careful because I really am switching up what numbers I'm multiplying. Be really careful you're actually doing B times E, C times D, B times D. I would check this a few times. If you need to rewrite this on every page, I would write it like this so it's obvious. Again, if you're uncertain or you're confused about any of these, just ask. I'll help you through any of these, and if you're completely uncertain, I can even do a little bit of the math for you. I don't care so much about this. It's more so to randomize the test. So this isn't the test, but hopefully you should be able to do these okay and keep them straight. All right. And then the very last one, so that's an actual question, that's not the bonus. 3, the voltage from the battery is going to be A times C times 100. So notice we're doing all random combinations. We haven't done A times C yet. So A times C, 4 times 1 times 100 is equal to 400 volts. Resistance A is going to equal to B times E. B is 2, E is 7. 2 times 7, which would equal 14. But let's be really careful of our units. 14 kilo ohms, right? Kilo ohms. So not 14 ohms, 14 kilo ohms. And by the way, because this is a take-home, you're at home, you really should be getting these unit versions correct because you have access to the Google C times F. C is 1, F is 6. 1 times 6 is obviously 6 kilo ohms. Resistance C is A times D kilo ohms. A is 4, D is 3. 4 times 3 is equal to 12 kilo ohms. Again, one more time. Every time we do this, we should really go back and check. Is this actually saying A times C times 100? Okay, yes, it is saying A times C times 100. So looking back, making sure I wrote the same thing down, make sure I actually did A times C times 100 and actually checking it. So let's make sure we actually go through and check those. Otherwise, this could be really easy to mess up. And then we do have a bonus question, which I haven't been doing. I think by now, if you're able to do the bonus, I shouldn't have to go through and spell this out for you. But yeah, go through and just A times 100 volts for the battery voltage, and then all of these are kilo ohms. So A kilo ohms, B kilo ohms, C, D, E, F kilo ohms, and then 7 and 1 are identical resistors. All right, any questions on how to set that up? I know it's a little bit more math than the other ones. Again, it would be really helpful to write this out not only here, but I would write this out probably on every one that you do, or at least write it on a separate piece of paper. That way you can just move the piece of paper around and you're not constantly looking. All right, so doesn't look like people have questions on that. So to keep the video short, we'll kind of end here. So again, this test is going to be due, I think I put the due date next Monday. Just go through, try to finish it. I don't think it should take a whole lot of time. I didn't ask too crazy questions. Obviously, I did ask a series parallel question here that's going to be tricky. People have been struggling with that a little bit. And then obviously the bonus question. But hopefully these two, the simple circuits, go a little bit more easily. But yeah, so work on this, try to finish it by next Monday, get your other late work turned in. And if you still have questions, you can ask them right now, or you can ask them in tutorials. And other than that, have a good day and good luck.